So, do you want to go into AEW Dynamite?
AEW, AEW. Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So this week, this week kicked off. Well, they did like they did a rundown of all the matches that were gonna take place, and they announced the Hangman Page was going to be in a tag team match, but not with Omega because apparently he'd broken his hand or his wrist or something, which I thought was odd, but okay because I wasn't aware of that. So he was going to have a mystery partner, and this was like who's that going to be? But then the first match of the night was Cody versus Ortiz, and this was obviously we've got Blood and Guts the next week where it is the Inner Circle versus the Elite. So obviously this week's Dynamite was very heavily built around this feud.
Right.
So Cody and Ortiz kind of start off, and then randomly halfway through, you see Jake, and he's with Lance Archer. So unfortunately, it wasn't Brody Lee or Luke Harper, as we had speculated, but it was Lance Archer, as we also did speculate. So
Yeah.
a little bit of a shame, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more specifically for you and me because we know Brody Lee better. But we'll hopefully they still book it right and it builds well because I'm going to have to get to know Lance Archer now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes because obviously he brought him in. He's trying to start something up with Cody, but Cody's got his hands full at least for the next week with this Blood and Guts match that's going on. So seems strange to bring him into it now, I guess, but fair dues. So he kind of was around, and then I can't even remember how this match ended, but I remember. I think the guys come down and start, a bit like the rest of the Inner Circle, come down and start beating up Cody, and then the Elite kind of run down, but it wasn't like all of the Elite. So notably, Hangman didn't bother to turn up, which I thought was interesting because he clearly shows that he doesn't really give a fuck about Cody, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But only one of the Young Bucks was there. I think it was Matt Jackson was there. But then Jericho comes on the screen and basically says, "Oh yeah, you might notice that Nick Jackson's not there. It's because basically we've fucked him up," and it kind of cuts out, and you've like crushed him on a garage door.
Nice.
So yeah, so basically he's taking the Elite out one by one. So that was like, ooh, interesting. So that happened. That was the how it kind of kicked off, and then the next match was the Alien Woman, Chris Statlander, and Shira in tag team action against Nyla Rose and Bea Priestley. Yeah, didn't really. It was a nothing match really. I don't think it did anything for Statlander, that's for sure. I don't know where it goes. I feel like they were trying to build up for a while. Nyla versus Statlander, or build up someone to be the number one contender. But
Yeah.
this match certainly didn't do it. She's beaten Statlander and Shira now already, so it's kind of, well, who is going to kind of compete with her for the
Yeah, it's
belt?
an unusual decision, really. I thought they were definitely building behind Statlander, and it would have been a good one to build behind. I'm not a big fan of the whole alien gimmick thing, but we've seen worse gimmicks on people before. And overall, though, she's a really good wrestler, and it would have been a good match to watch had it, like you say, had they not have made an unusual decision here. Really.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a bit of a nothing match for me. I wasn't really into it, to be fair. So that kind of happened, and then there was another tag team match that followed that. So well, it was a 3-on-3 trios match. So it was the Jurassic Express, so Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt, who were taking on MJF and the Butcher and the Blade. It was actually a pretty good match, to be fair. I just love MJF. He plays such a little weasel. He's just such a little shithouse. and like he just does little things where he's dead arrogant and dead cocky. If he's fighting the smaller guys, but then there was like a moment in there where he's like dead arrogant and stuff, but Luchasaurus has tagged in behind him, and then like he kind of turned around, shits himself, and tags out straight away, stuff like that. I just think he's a really good character, MJF.
No, I agree. I think he makes for a good heel. I was actually reading something earlier today in which they were talking about the failings of AEW so far, which, to be fair, you can tell it's been written with a bit of a slant to it. But one of the things they were saying that AEW is struggling with is having good heels. But I strongly disagree with that, because I think MJF is a classic example of a good, like you say, a good Weasley heel. And I think he's been booked so well up to now. I just wanted to mention that slightly, because I think he's one good example, a really good example, to be fair.
That's a really good note. I'm not aware of that article, but I don't know how anyone can say that they haven't done a good job of building up MJF as a heel, especially because he's just a little shit, isn't he?
Exactly. I think, with all due respect, and I don't know if we can. I can't imagine I'm going to get another copyright strike for it. But it was something I read. It was an article in Forbes, and it was they never mentioned MJF, which is a bit that puzzled me. They just sort of generally mentioned how AEW, when they set up, were saying that they're not really going to follow the traditional heel face setup, because people don't work like that, and it's going to be a bit more grey. And they might have said that, and they might have made those statements, and life can be a bit more grey, but that's not to say that they weren't going to have good heels. And one of the examples the person who wrote the article cited was Jericho not being a good heel because he gets a pop from the crowd. And it's like, yeah, they love to hate him though. He's still playing the heel character. But there was no mention of MJF, who's done it perfectly. So again, bit of a skewed article as far as I read, but not to digress to that, but I do totally disagree. I think they've booked. Don't be wrong, not all the bookings are perfect. I'm not going to be a fanboy about it, but they have booked MJF really well.
Well, yeah, and I think even in this match as well. So he ended up picking up the win, but not with ease. So he needed the distraction from the bunny, and then it was Marco Stunt who he actually. I'm not sure, but I think he might have submitted him actually. So I mean, it's not like he's just always the weasel. Like he'll get the win, but he'll do it, in such a shitty way, like with the distraction and also taking out the smaller guy. So. Yeah, I just think he's a fantastic character, and I really like the Jurassic Express as well. And I'm not massively, into Butcher and Blade, if I'm perfectly honest, but they're all right.
They do the job.
Yeah, so all in all, I did quite enjoy that, but mainly for MJF and the Jurassic Express. I think Jungle Boy had a really good showing as well. He made the hot tag, and was just kind of like the crowd was really behind him, and he was, considering his age, and he's not really been doing it for that long. I think he's got a really bright future. And then again, Luchasaurus, just I'd said on a previous podcast, I can see him becoming like the main guy. And once again, he was fantastic in this match as well. So all in all, pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah, totally agree.
And then onto another Britt Baker promo. So I don't know. It's getting a bit stale, shall we say? I think. It's just more of the same stuff. You got Giovanni's out there, fucking coffee cup references and Starbucks and all this shit again. And then this time, Big Swole came out, and I think Britt Baker actually she said something like the only one relevant in your family is your husband, Cedric Alexander. So I didn't realize that Big Swole and Cedric were a thing, but interesting that they referenced a WWE superstar on AEW, which I thought was quite funny.
Isn't Britt Baker seeing a WWE fella as well, though?
Oh, possibly. I'm not sure. Oh, it's
Cole. But yeah, I feel like it is Adam Cole. And I just find that funny that she's thrown a name out, but presumably Big Swole hadn't, because I don't think she did. But yeah, like you say, it's interesting that they've thrown the name out there.
Yeah, But
And she's not wrong, I'll be honest.
well, exactly. Yeah. I thought I don't know. It's just the whole thing was a little bit same. Like I've heard that promo before, and I've heard it, a few times before. So yeah, hopefully it gets changed up a little bit. And they went on to the next match, which was the first time I think that we're seeing Death Triangle in action. So they took on Joey Janela and the Private Party. And all in all, it was good, really good showing for Death Triangle. I thought. I'm actually really liking them as a stable. I didn't think I would because it just kind of seemed a bit random that they throw them together. But I mentioned I was quite keen to see kind of Pac as a leader of a stable, but I think they all put in a really good shift and a good showing, and they look dangerous. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
they've released a couple of new T-shirts on AEW, and even their like little logo that they've got looks fucking shit hot. Like I'm tempted to buy that T-shirt. So
And are you buying that from AEWshop.com?
that is AEWshop.com. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm quite excited for it. See where it goes, and then obviously the
Yeah,
best
I
friends.
think it did feel random, but I think it kind of works really well because Pac is the mouthpiece that they needed, really. So I take your point. It did initially feel random, but yeah, there's a lot to like there, and it could work really well. And they do look dangerous.
Yeah, I think they're obviously going for something with best friends as well. So obviously that's where it all started, and Pac and Orange Cassidy.
Of course,
So
yeah.
those guys came out afterwards as well to kind of keep that feud going. So interesting to see what happens with that. And then the main event. So obviously I mentioned earlier that Omega couldn't compete because he had like a broken hand or something. But interesting how that didn't stop him from trying to make the save on Cody earlier in the match. He was fine to do that, but he can't have a match. But whatever, I won't ask any questions.
No.
So the main event was Hangman and his mystery opponent against Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And disappointingly, his mystery opponent was Dustin Rhodes. So obviously nothing against him. I'm a big Goldie fan and I'm a big Dustin Rhodes fan just in general. But I don't know. I kind of thought it was going to be something else.
He's more of a golden oldie now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think like why build up the kind of I'm gonna have a mystery partner or something, and then it just be someone like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it might have
felt
random, but that's where you could have dropped someone like Brody Lee in, and you go, wow, that was a shock.
Exactly, and I think we
I
spoke
don't know
about
how the connection could be made, but
like I think we probably can be a little bit unfair sometimes, expecting to pull out debuts and surprise people like every week, and obviously they can't do that. But
yeah,
I just feel
they
like
are.
if the surprise is
the-
going to be Dustin
they are.
Rhodes, just maybe don't hype it up as much.
That's the thing. That's all they needed to do is go. It could have still been a mystery, but not like hyped up to the point, like you say, because it almost falls a bit flat then, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the match itself was quite good. Hangman was doing his usual, interacting with the crowd and drinking the beers. Funnily, Jericho did the same, grabbed a beer off one of the fans and was walking around. He had a nice little moment with Paige as well, where they had like a little fight over the beer, and Paige took it off him and drank it. Kicked him in the stomach, Jericho in the stomach, and he spat it all out and stuff like that. So it was quite good. I felt quite bad that Guevara took another pin. I think he's another breakout for me with like him and Darby, for example, the matches they were having, and I think he's probably been on the end of a few too many pins now, and obviously they're not going to pin Jericho, but maybe just I don't know.
Yeah,
did Hangman need to win it? Like, what we could have pinned Rhodes. You know what I mean? They could have done something else, but
no, they need to watch that. To be fair, because I totally agree with you. I think Guevara's definitely got something. He's the future of that company, really, in a lot of senses. So yeah, they do need to watch it. I don't think they've done too much damage yet, but if they keep putting them on the losing end, it's not going to help.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think after that match, the Inner Circle kind of ended up standing tall again. Took the remaining Young Buck and the rest of the guys out with some chairs, and as a nice way to build to the ultimate kind of match next week for Blood and Guts. So yeah, it was I don't know, it was a bit of a strange episode. I think they've done such a good job previously of building up, you know, big storylines and building it up slowly over a nice period. Whereas I feel like this Blood and Guts episode of Dynamite that they're putting out, it kind of feels like they've rushed into this Inner Circle and Elite feud again. Like they've kind of reignited it from a while ago, but they've done it in a space of 2 weeks, so it just feels a little bit rushed. But yeah, so I think trying to be objective around the whole show, I definitely don't feel like it was one of the stronger episodes of Dynamite. So I think we have to go middle of the road with a 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably going to land on a 3 myself, purely because it wasn't one of the best. But in comparing it to the 3 that I gave to NXT, I think it was definitely the same quality, if not better, for a Wednesday night show. So I think I'll give it a 3. But I totally agree with the points you've made as to why it was a bit weaker than others.
Nice.
This is a clip from our weekly podcast, A to the K Wrestle Talk. The full show can be found on Spotify, Apple, Google, and pretty much anywhere else that you find your podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and we hope you enjoy.